The Bill and Kelly Show is recorded at Studio A at Executive Suite Squared in beautiful Hammond, Indiana. Now, here's Bill and Kelly. Hello, welcome to the Bill and Kelly Show. Today we have a very special program with two very special guests that I'd like to introduce. First, we have Nicole Parker. Hello, Nicole. Welcome again to our show. You've been on a couple of times. And then we have someone new, Melinda Pollak, who is new to our show. And what we are trying to do here today is talk to some people who have really changed their lives, that have gone through a dark time in their life, but have really worked hard to change their lives around. And what we hope to do is provide a contrast so you can see what that's like, and maybe from a 35,000 foot view, get an idea what this is like. So without further ado, I will have Melinda start and tell a bit about yourself, Melinda, and tell us about your story.
Bill, thank you so much for inviting me. Nicole, it is such an honor to meet you. I feel like this is such an important conversation, not just once, but on an ongoing basis, to really check in and talk about where, if we've been struggling, where we've been, and how do we overcome that. And so a little bit about me. I am a recovering alcoholic, 7 years sober, addicted to pain pills. I feel like, I think every alcoholic will say this, I functioned quite nicely when in fact I was just falling apart thread by thread by thread over the years, until I finally had a nervous breakdown 6 years ago. And it was at that point where my brother intervened. He's a physician, and hooked me up with a psychiatrist from Rush Hospital, and got me into the Rush Day program, which was I was there for 6 months, but group therapy 5 days a week. And it really helped me to learn how to function with my emotions. I think that that's part of I can only speak for myself, but dependent upon pills or alcohol is just a way to obviously self-medicate and not get to the root of what is really, really down and where that self-hatred comes from. And I feel like I probably spent most of my life living in that self-hatred. It just was a matter of time before I just shattered. And that's what happened. So I was lucky enough to attend the program and become part of a community, which I feel is so essential to the positive recovery for anybody. And that helped me get back into living a very joyful life, of which I have daily gratitude. Daily, my heart is filled with abundance, and it's pretty good on the other side of the darkness.
Yeah, and what we'd love to get back to is that gratitude portion, because that seems to be a common difference in what everyone goes through, is they become more grateful for things in their life and what they have. So, Nicole?
Well, thank you so much for having me on the show, and it's so nice to meet you, Melinda. I'm happy to be back, and say hello to Callie for me.
Definitely.
So a little bit about me. I've been sober now for 20 years. I sobered up at 23 and lived at the Women's Recovery Home in Valparaiso, and lived there for about 14 months, and literally had to rebuild my life. I moved here from another state where I had pretty much burned every bridge and acquired a couple misdemeanors, and had to. I moved here to live with my family or nearby them, and ended up getting sober 8 months later. And so, I am now 44 as of Friday, which is crazy. I never thought I'd make it to the age of 30, and I'm now 44. And, life is pretty interesting. It's been really good. I've had a lot of positives throughout the years. Just recently, I was in the military, and I filed a claim with the military for service diagnosis, and so service connection. And it's been kind of interesting because it allowed for me to create a timeline that I had never noticed before. And I was involved in this military hearing back in '97, and it was soon after that where my bottom just like went downhill pretty quickly. And I'm really kind of seeing how my, like she said, that self-hatred, the self-esteem, fear, and that trauma from the military. I just ended up homeless and lived at a frat house during the summer when no one was there, and became very unemployable. Alcohol poisoning, 0.49 blood alcohol level, and I mean, just you name it, it was just crazy. And so I don't think I would have sobered up at 23 had I not had all of those life experiences. And so I'm really glad to be here. I'm like Melinda said, I'm a part of a community as well, and the Portage Recovery Association is a big part of my recovery, where I hang out with like-minded people and have that opportunity to to be available for people that are in need. Like yesterday, our power went out, and I was working, and my laptop just died, and so I ran over here to charge everything, and it just so happened that a girl that was fresh from rehab happened to walk in seeking help, and I was able to be there and talk to her. And so it's kind of the neat thing about this is that when I'm off kilter, like I have been for the last couple of days with this military stuff, there's always someone that's put in my path to be able to get out of myself and to help. So I connected with Bill and Callie actually because I was involved in a recovery home. I was doing recovery coaching over there. And so I reached out to them to promote the house, to promote an event, and then changed organizations that I was involved in. And they've been so gracious promoting all of our things that we have here. Recorded our National Recovery Month event last year. And so I'm really grateful. I love getting my little cards in the mail from Callie. So
Oh yes.
That's all I have.
Once you're a friend of Kelly, you. Oh my gosh, yeah, yeah. Yeah. I often tell people what used to be her basement, now it's the garage. I challenge Jeff Bezos to come up with one of his distribution centers, the Amazon distribution centers that look like Kelly's friend. She's got all these carts with people's names on them. It's crazy, but yes, yeah. Yeah, we love you, Nicole. I tell you, it's and I can't say it's enough. You guys do great work and great part of the community. So one thing I heard, a commonality of this is the gratitude is the change in life, and also I also want to talk about, and I heard you speak to this. You become aware of things that happen in your life more so than when you were stuck in the mud. Things you become more conscious of that happen, that people being put in your path or people being put in your circle that were there for a reason. And when you're in when you are addicted or in the mud, is I'll say, you just didn't have that awareness. Don't you find that you now have more of awareness of the people around you, and I guess are more appreciative of the people that come in your life, and whether you're helping them or they're helping you?
Yeah, definitely. I think, when you have, I guess, walked through fire, for instance, like come out of the gates of Hades, for instance, it's nice to be able to meet someone who's walked in your path and to, who knows what it feels like, and then to be able to pass that on to someone else in need. So you're right.
Yeah.
And I also think, too, that when you are so self-absorbed and in addiction, you isolate and, from everybody. And as you become healthy, for me at least, it was trust issue too, to come back into forming friendships, and like you said, Nicole, not be, I guess, with like-minded people, you don't feel as judged or feel so much shame. So I think there's so many emotions that go along with, gosh, where you know, from isolation to community.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. You have me thinking now.
Yeah, and that other thing is, let's talk about trust for a minute, because you do, you know, in a sense, don't you still have some trust issues? And I always hear about in community and out of the community. And you know, I originally was trying to get involved, and Nicole saw some of this too. We were so anxious because of the personal connection I have with the relative of helping out. But what I found out is, and it's not a bad thing, it's just that there was this trust factor. If you're not in the community and not in recovery, there's a bit of a trust factor there, you know. And where if you're in the community, it's kind of like you've given up your spirit to all these people because they know where you came from. And do you find that, or am I just being too self-conscious?
Melinda, do you want to answer that?
Yes, I have found that. I mean, first of all, I can look, and if someone's not ready to recognize, acknowledge their pain, they're gonna probably live the life that I live, which was that fake smile until again I shattered. I feel like once you come head on and say, I'm an addict or I'm an alcoholic or whatever it may be, and start being able to open up. And I think that's the trust factor, either going to meetings or, you know, living within a community or group therapy or whatever it may be. It is the trust factor, because at least I've spent most of my life hiding from other people because they'd figure me out, you know, that kind of a thing. So, I don't know, being in this community, I feel helps you not become as, helps you learn to trust. I'm still not a very trusting person with my emotions. I'm so guarded. And that's not good. And I realize that. And that's the difference between then and now, is I'm aware of it versus self-medicating to hide it. I don't know.
Yeah, I think for me, I'm very guarded myself. And I mean, there's certain people that my guard is completely down with. And, you know, I always joke around that I have attachment issues. And so and I think just all these years, it's been really easy, like when people are come in and come out. And so I'm used to, I just appreciate people today in my life. And if you're not here tomorrow, like, it's okay. You know, I just want to enjoy the moment right now with people. But yeah, I'm very guarded too. And I think that's just life experiences. I'm in recovery. I'll just put it this way. I trust God 100%. You know, and you know, I trust God 100%, and I understand that humans are human.
Yeah.
Put it that way.
Yeah.
I think that's also another part of, I feel like the recovery, and we talk a lot about this, you know, higher power, whatever that may look like to that individual, to you, to me, is like our guiding light, our truth, our non-judgmental partner, that always is there for us. So I'm also 100% God.
Yeah.
Yeah, he or she, whomever.
Yeah. Exactly.
Right with me.
Yeah, it's I mean, it's been an interesting ride for me. I remember my first day that when I went to rehab, I was actually driving, praying, God, if you want me sober, just get me here. And you know, and it was pre-GPS, and I didn't know how to get to Maryville. And so it took me 2 hours to find rehab, and you know, and it's just been like that. It's every time that I've asked for help and I see the doors open and I follow that path, everything works out really well. But when I go the opposite direction, thinking that I can do it, that's usually when I find myself running into issues where trust comes up and stuff.
Right.
I think that's ego too. A lot of it is ego. You got this by yourself. I don't need your help.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
And don't you feel that now that you've gotten through that and you're in recovery, don't you feel like you appreciate the moment now, that you feel like you live more in the moment and feel less stress about the future, and definitely what you want to do is not even go back to the past?
Yeah, I look. That's the thing about this last 2 weeks, like going through the military stuff again for me that I haven't had to deal with for a couple decades. And there was a book written about the thing that I was involved in, and so it's been kind of powerful for me. And it's really hit me. I mean, I've always had a lot of gratitude for my recovery, and you know, I believe in living in today, but I think what's hit me is kind of grieving that girl, you know, that 21-year-old girl, that 18, 19-year-old girl, and looking at choices that I made based on things that had happened during that time, you know, and I think it's really hit me how unmanageable my life was, you know, just like where it took me. I mean, I always logically knew, but I think it's really hit me emotionally where I look at that girl and I'm like, oh my gosh, like you survived all of that, you came through that, and you've been able to weather all the storms in recovery. And you know, and I probably wouldn't have been able to deal with it unless, I mean, earlier in my recovery anyway. So yeah, I definitely appreciate the little things. I think my favorite, I mean, I used to have to do a gratitude list for this treatment counselor, and back then it was these fresh hot buns from Broadway Cafe where we would go for coffee all the time. It was the smell of the buns, you know, like, and just the butter and just that whole thing. There was just something so cathartic about it. And so just like little things I appreciate today.
One word that you mentioned I found kind of interesting. You grieved over your former self. That's kind of an interesting concept. You grieved over what you went through and the bad choices that you made, and so got to come back to that because I think that's somewhat interesting. And Melinda, what are your staying in a moment things?
So, I practice yoga. I took up yoga about 6 years ago just for this reason, to learn how to take a breath, to realize that it's not about me, and to focus just in that very moment. And it's still hard for me to do, but every day and taking some mindfulness courses, which really has helped me with my past, and saying, you know, it's okay, I forgive you. And I think finding forgiveness and you know, truly internalizing forgiveness, turning into self-love, is so powerful. And that, along with breathing and you know, looking around and truly feeling choosing gratitude, choosing a life filled with abundance. And I feel like the only way that I could do that is with a clear head. And that's taken therapy. I mean, I'm not saying, you know, I went from 0 to 100. It's taken years of therapy, which for me has worked. You know, finding the right tools that work for me, understanding what my triggers are, to take myself back into that moment of peace and a breath and gratitude. So it's a combination of, a lot of things, but whatever it takes,
Yeah.
you can get there,
Yeah.
but it's work.
And so, Melinda, like your yoga, and you have methodologies you go back to when maybe you encounter stressful situations, and so you have a mechanism. So, Nicole, what is that like for you? Because obviously we all go through stress. Expect, all the things that cause stress have, if you guys haven't noticed, have quadrupled, if not more, out there.
Yeah.
So, what does that look like for you, Nicole?
For my form of mindfulness, yeah, I love music. Absolutely love Starbucks green tea. That's just like my favorite thing in the world. And so, just even simply driving there to pick up a green tea can be just kind of like therapeutic in itself. I actually returned to therapy a couple years ago, and that's been helpful. And it's actually I worked in a field where I worked as a case manager for about 11 years, and I was in like a high crisis mode all the time. And I didn't even realize what a toll it had taken on my body. Like when I left that position, within a couple months, I'm off my blood pressure medicine and, and stuff. And so I don't want to allow myself to have my body get to that state of stress. So, yeah, I have people that I connect with. Uh, and I don't know, I stay pretty busy with different things, but simply walking my dogs. I live in Miller, and so I can hear the water from my house, and so just walking around, and I just really appreciate that stuff. I get excited to see the lake. I always get excited to see the lake, and so yeah, it varies. I mean, I've done a lot of things over the years, but I pretty much kind of keep it simple. But I do enjoy yoga, and I haven't done that for many years, and so
Yeah,
We'll have to practice together.
yeah, there you
yeah.
go. There you go. One thing that Nicole, you mentioned that is a huge. Well, I got to get back there. In fact, I got to Trail 9 at the Dunes is my favorite place because they have this bluff that you go up there, and if that wasn't a place that God made for people that were in stress, I don't know what is. Something about being on that bluff and looking out over the Lake Michigan and then turning around and all you see is forest, just the
Yeah.
dense forest. Something about that bluff is just, but I got to get back there. Oh man,
Yeah.
yeah, and something about looking at that lake kind of puts it all in perspective. It's like, and looking at one of the largest inland lakes in the world and seeing that water and then looking out. As long as you don't look at the steel mills, you're okay, right?
I can see the steel mills in my backyard. No, I'm just joking.
Look straight ahead. Don't look at it. No, no, no. No, so man, yeah, that's and that boy, that's something that I really got to hand it to you two. What you've been through, my personal thing that I'm still struggling with is stressful eating. It's like as soon as I hit a stressful moment, there goes the refrigerator door opening, and boy, that's something that I've got to encounter, which is an issue. It's I've gained like 30 pounds over the last couple of years, which is minuscule compared to what you guys have been through, but it's an issue, and it's kind of an addiction in itself that it makes me think, gosh, I got to get beyond this. I really do.
Yeah.
But so one of the things that as you move forward, because and what you both have done with your lives is absolutely amazing, and the whole theme of this show is joy. So can you guys describe those joyful moments where you sit back and it just you get a smile on your face saying, "Wow, this is awesome."
Go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
No, please.
Every
I can
morning
tell
when
this
I
is a
wake
real
up.
good topic as both of you are juggling to get in position. Go ahead,
No, go.
Nicole. Why don't you start first, and we'll come back to you, Melinda.
I think for me, I don't really try to sweat the small stuff, and just really appreciate little things. Anything from, I really love my girlfriends to hang out with them, to my husband and I laugh a lot. And so laughter is a pretty big thing for me. And really taking time to, just take time for myself and, practice that self-care. Like I just went to California, and like for me, self-care is to see my dad and to spend time with him. And, we cook, he expresses his love through cooking and words of wisdom. And so I feel joy in that, but definitely green tea from Starbucks to.
That's starting to become a theme there, Nicole.
I have talks. No, I'm just joking. And I can find joy in almost anything. I really can. And I'm able to, if I'm able to be in the moment and at peace, and I'm not living in yesterday or tomorrow at that moment, like that stress or worry of anything, I can find joy in almost every little thing. But I have a dog named Roscoe that puts a big smile on my face. He's an Airedale. And I have never loved an animal as much as I love him. And, yeah, there's a lot to list as far as little things to find joy in.
Yeah, I'm trying to find joy in Dexter, but I'm getting there. No, I'm kidding. I love that dog. I absolutely love that dog. He's been my buddy for 12 years, but he's weird. Put it that way. Kelly would be the first one to tell you, that is a weird dog, yeah. And if ever you felt that a dog was possessed by a human, it is Dexter. Yeah, it's...
We have a new one named Bella. She's a miniature schnauzer, and she's kind of rescue. And I used to call her Spawn of Satan because she's just like so sweet, looks at you with those eyes, and the next thing you know, she just turns on you. And she's getting better. I mean, the poor thing spent her first year in a kennel, for 14 hours a day. So, she's getting used to it. She's coming out of that. So I haven't called her Spawn of Satan for quite a while.
Well, with Dexter, we swear, I used to have a very strange uncle named Uncle Larry, and we really think Dexter is him. We really do. We'll get back to that because Melinda, I want you to tell us.
That's pretty funny.
Well, look at it. He gets this look in his face that you swear to God you're looking at a human being and not a dog, and that gets even creepier. But he creeps Kelly. He creeps Kelly out totally. Kelly tries to escape from him, and he'll wait outside the bathroom door looking in, and it's weird. And enough of Dexter. This show is not about Dexter. He has his own show.
But it is lighthearted, and it makes us laugh, and that is joy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it is. And Melinda, why don't you talk about the stuff that puts a smile on your face? You're sitting back, and it's like you're past, and now you are totally in joy. Describe what that looks like to you.
Sitting here right now, just being present and centered for me is joy, versus what was going on. The past is exactly that. The past. Today is today, and I am blessed to have all my family in Chicago now. So we just welcomed my first grandson, Everett. He's 3 months old now.
Congratulations.
So thank you. He's just I'll start crying. But, to think that probably 6 or 7 years ago, the thought of ending my life versus being present and holding this little, I call them nugget or nugs, holding this little nug, it's like, that's pure joy for me.
Yeah.
I tell you what, grandkids are the best stress relief. Yeah. It's kind of like, I love all my kids, but to be with my grandkids and know if something goes wrong and they start stinking, I could give them back. And you just take the finer moments as a grandparent and let the parents deal with them all and just say, good luck with that.
Well, they're just, I think the other part for me of joy is my relationships with my family now, with my friends. It's just so pure. That gives me such joy that they're in my life. And though we may not see each other, we do communicate honestly. And that's what I love, that I feel the joy for me is being able to share my emotions, my true emotions with them and not fear judgment with anybody. So.
And Melinda, that's something I think I've seen you state that you've struggled with in the past. Your sons, is it that the whole trust factor between you and your sons was something that is had been overcome now. There's still something there, but you're in a much better place with them now than you were.
So much better. I mean, when you live your life, and I thought I was a great mom. I mean, I was always present. We did those things. We took those trips, and I was a single mom. My ex-husband's fabulous. He was and is so present in their lives. But there's, there was lost communication. Mm-hmm. And I felt like our relationship totally drifted, especially when they went away to college. And that's when I was at my worst, so yes, we have, they call me out on my BS. Let's put it that way. And I love it. I absolutely love it.
Yeah, boy. Yeah, and boy, that's something, you feel where you're at now, and it just brings a smile to your face, doesn't it? That both Nicole and Melinda, just like you in there, and it just, you feel great. And I haven't been in that position in respect to where you guys coming from to where you're at now, but I have had those moments where, I'm around, whether it's with family or just with a friend, and it just feels right. It feels down to earth, down to the bone. It's great, and it just brings joy to your life. So,
can I just say? I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Can I just say one thing? So I left. Part of my trigger was the pressure of working in a certain environment. It took me a while to figure this out. So changing the environment totally has helped me connect with a community outside of, and it's a work community, but we've become friends, and that's what I love. The trust issue, I feel like for an alcoholic or whomever is huge, and letting people in, we've talked about that. So I feel like when you say joy, the joy for me now is letting in my work community versus running from it and running from the stress. It's a joy to get up and go to work.
Mm-hmm. And it's in the moment that you have joy in everything that you do, your life changes. It just absolutely changes. Even the most mundane tasks that you find joy in, as opposed to, I don't want to get through this. It's just like a totally different way of looking at things. So, boy, this has been amazing conversation, I've got to say. And what you guys, is there anything else that you think is worth mentioning before we wrap up today?
So the one thing, and Nicole, you can maybe help on this. I feel like in our area, people don't know where to go for help or how to start a conversation. Mm-hmm. And maybe you can speak to that.
Yeah, I'm open. I'm open publicly as far as being a person in recovery. The outlets that I use, I don't really promote anything like that, but I want people to know. I mean, even in my job, I worked as a case manager. I was open about being a person in recovery. So that kind of, makes people feel a little bit more comfortable, to talk to me. And also having this platform of, getting to know people in the community, like Bill and Callie. And even just recently, I was on the Art on the Go show, I believe it's called, to promote our art show. And connecting with artists who are dropping off work for our show and then finding out through them their stories, and to be able to even be an ear for them. It's just, I think the biggest thing is that we can remove the stigma by being open. We don't have to, feel embarrassed about our story. And I love in this day and age that we are moving past that fear of that stigma, compared to 20 years ago when I came in, oh, don't tell anybody, and now it's, it's nice that we can be open like this. Like I seen on your Facebook, you have like mental health advocate and different things like all of that, and that's what I love about social media, is that we can put that out there and in different ways, let's see. And as far as Portage Recovery Association, I kind of freaked out our former board members because some of the younger members and myself, we launched a Facebook page, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn. I haven't figured out TikTok, but even a website. And, and we kind of like, it scared people because we actually went on to the Bill and Kelly show, for instance, to promote National Recovery Month. And so we're kind of breaking through those barriers of saying that this is a nonprofit organization. We want everyone to know that this is a resource in the community, so we can address that. I think it's great that someone like yourself and me, that we can lead by example and say, hey, there's no shame in, our stories. We've overcome. So,
yeah.
Did I answer that? I think I did.
Yeah, no, I think you did.
Actually, I love you.
yeah, I tell you, well, everyone loves Nicole and Melinda. I tell you, actually, that's something that because there's things about that I hear both you talk about that you guys are my heroes, because I can't even imagine bringing some things up that you guys talk so openly about. So, I mean, my hat's off to both you ladies. It's just, you guys inspire me to be more open. I mean, there's some things obviously I don't want to, but I think that's part of where you've come, is to learn to do that and learn to be open about yourself. And because that was, when you look back, that was part of the issue, wasn't not? You just had this dark secret that you're always carrying around with you, and now that's gone. And so I could see that. I could see that. Boy, just being able to be open about everything you do and being totally transparent to yourself and to others has got to be. I'm looking for a word here.
Freedom.
Freedom.
It is freedom.
Yeah, freedom. And
it really is.
Yeah, freedom from, all this drudgery and all this darkness, and you no longer have to carry that around. So, boy, that is, I've got to say, I'm so thankful for both of you coming on and agreeing to do this, and it just is kind of personally inspiring me to, maybe be more open and be more talkative about me and things. So, not there yet. So, but. Boy, that's great. And so, I mean, is there anything else you guys want to discuss? And any words of wisdom that you'd like to leave everyone out there?
I think the biggest thing for me is just to say, once again, recovery is possible. Mm-hmm. Sobriety is possible. Recovery from mental health and substance abuse is possible. I mean, I'm considered dually diagnosed. I have a PTSD diagnosis. And also, I'm in recovery from alcohol and drugs. And so recovery is possible, and there's hope out there. And I think the one thing, even though you might not be a person in recovery, Bill, I'm sure you and a lot of other people that that wouldn't qualify like Melinda and I do, understand what it feels like to be hopeless at times. We've all felt that at one time in our life, and we can connect on that level. So. Yeah. It's nice to meet you, Melinda. Now that we're Facebook friends, I'm sure we will connect soon, but I really appreciate the opportunity to talk today.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. And Melinda, anything?
Oh, Nicole, it's just such an honor to be on the show with you, Bill. Thank you so much. I just feel like I am a recovering alcoholic. I suffer from depression. Life is so much better, as I always say, on the other side. So how do you get to the other side? And that's that's the struggle right now with mental health, with finding affordable health care, with finding the right doctor, with right therapy. So it is there. That's what I'm trying to say. It is out there, and there are resources. I would definitely, NAMI is one of them. The National Alliance on Mental Illness is one. It's free. It's across the country. That's a great start. And of course, AA or any other of the resources that we have locally and around the country. But go. The hardest step you'll ever take is that first one. And trust me, I've taken many first steps throughout my life. Yeah. But you never know which step it is that leads you down that path to recovery. So keep, it is there, and it is work. And I feel like, people should know it's just not one day I woke up and decided I wanted to be sober. No, it didn't work that way. It was years of work and still is. So you have to be willing to put in the work. So that's all I wanted to say.
Yeah. Well,
it's there for you. Yeah. There is a beautiful life for you.
Yeah. And that's something that we all talk about constantly, whether it be mental health, and being key factor, that addiction. There's a stigma that floats over that still, that the shame that people feel because they are going to a counselor. And that's something people have got to get over. But it's perfectly fine to go in and get a hand sewed up or something of that nature. Something physically is okay. In fact, it's kind of almost like a badge of honor in a way. But yet, as soon as people hear or feel, go to to get help from a counselor, they sneak in the back door a lot. In fact, I've noticed when I go to counseling, their door is in the back, their parking lot is in the back, and I found out that was through design, and I'm like, wow, that's interesting. But there's help out there. There's help in many facets, whether it be just the person that wants to put you in connection with contact with the right people or whatever. So the one thing that you got to avoid is feeling hopeless. The moment
that's
you
right.
feel hopeless, it's a slippery slide, and that's when you really need to get in to see someone and talk about the reasons why, and whether it be an addiction or whether it just be, things are starting to collide. And this environment, mental health, I've talked to counselors daily. It is exponentially escalated beyond belief. People losing their jobs, the stress level, the people are at odds with each other day to day. Social media, oh my gosh. Yeah, when you
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
In our community, in the last couple of months, I've seen an increase. More so, I've seen a higher number of suicides than I have in a couple years since COVID happened. So I'm seeing suicides, more overdoses, and just those breakdowns. And it's interesting because this is trauma. COVID, the shutdown, is trauma. I don't think we really talk about that either, about how all of us can relate on that. And so, it's interesting. Indiana Recovery Network is also a great resource. They consider themselves to be the hub where you can find everything you need to find recovery on that website. So I just wanted to promote that as well. So.
Yeah, there's a lot of resources, county, statewide, a lot. So, and there's various. In fact, one time we had a link to all of them, and so, boy, this has been a great conversation. I tell you, got to hand it in. You guys are heroes of mine. I got to tell you, the huge heroes. So, I guess we'll wrap things up, and. Boy, again, appreciate both you and I'm sure that you've touched someone out there, and by all means, what we'll do is put some phone numbers at the end of the show so that if you feel like you need help, you can call these numbers and get in contact with the right people. So with
Sounds-
that, Nicole, Melinda, thank you for joining us today. We appreciate it. And with that, we'll say, everyone, please stay safe, be kind to your neighbor, and we'll say goodbye for now.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
This episode of The Bill and Callie Show is brought to you by...
Hurt in a wreck. Why would you even think about calling the insurance company first?
Call someone who's going to work for you, not against you.
The insurance companies are not on your side. We are.
We are Lerner and Rowe.
Lerner and Rowe are the lawyers for you. Call 222-2222.